Hello friends, what's going on? It's Khan here. Did you know that you can run your GD script code within the Godot editor without launching the game? You can do that by using a tool script. And as you can see on the screen right now is a sprite that is moving to the right. This is all being done with a tool script. I'm not doing anything, I'm not touching the position, and as you can see, it is being increased. So let's go ahead and learn how this works. So the setup here is very simple. I'm gonna pull this guy back a little. We have the sprite, obviously. We have a root node here as a node 2D, and there's a there's a script attached to the root node. Let's take a look at the script. As you can see, the first thing that catches the eye is this tool keyword at the top of the script. So once you put this in a script, it turns into a tool script, and Godot tries to execute all of the code you have within that script while you're in the editor. So that's how to turn a script into a tool script. It's very simple. Besides that, we have a reference to the turtle sprite. We have the process function, and within the process function, we're increasing the X position of the turtle sprite by delta times 10 each frame. So like I said, since we have the tool keyword, this is being run within the editor, and it's also going to be run when we play the game. So let's launch the game. And you can see that also in the game, the sprite is being moved to the right. So the default behavior in a tool script is that any line of code will be executed both in the game and in the editor. So that's basically the gist of it. That's what a tool script is, and that's how to use it. Now let's learn a little bit more of the intricacies or tips and tricks of tool scripts. So first of all, you might not want to have the tool script run in the game. You may only want the tool script to do something inside of the editor. So for example, when I play the game, maybe I don't want the sprite to go to the right. So let's see how we can do that. Inside of the engine class, there's a function called isEditorHint. This is going to return true if the script is being run inside of the editor, and it's going to return false if we're playing the game. So we can do something like this. We can say, if isEditorHint is true, do this. So now when let's make sure the turtle is in the window. Now when I run the game, it's not going to move. But inside of the editor, it's still moving. And that's because we're checking for this. We can also do something like else. Let's do minus equals. So this case here would be run in the editor. And in the case that this function returns false, the else statement here, or the else block, will be run, and this will mean that run in the game. So right now, inside of the editor, the turtle is going to the right, but when I run the game, it's going to go to the left. So you can see that using this function, we can determine which part of the script is going to be executed within the editor and which part of the script will be executed within the game. So that means even if you have a tool script, it doesn't have to be executed in the editor, all of it. You can pick the spots that you want to be executed within the editor. So that's how to control that. And by the way, I should warn you that you shouldn't put this tool keyword into any script willy-nilly. Godot does really try to execute everything in the editor, and if you have, for example, calls to Q3 a bunch of times, that might cause some problems. You might delete something within the editor that was, that had some stuff going on, and you might actually crash the engine. So be careful using Q3, and also be careful adding the tool keyword. One good thing to keep in mind is to write your code before you put the tool keyword. So I would, for example, write all of this, and then only then I would put the tool keyword here. and then turn the script into a tool script. So that's also something to keep in mind. And also one more thing, the first time you put the tool keyword, it's not going to work. Like, it's just not going to work. What you need to do is you need to save the scene, close it down, open it back up, and then it's going to start working. If it doesn't start working then, close down Godot and open it back up, but 99.9% of the time it should start then. Yes, so what else about the tool script? One thing to keep in mind as well is everything the tool script does will be persisted. So for example, currently the tool script is moving the sprite to the right. If I go in here and delete all of that, it's going to stop, but all of that movement change is going to stay. So again, be careful with tool scripts because the changes you make will be persisted. So for example, if you delete a bunch of stuff using a tool script, they're gone. If you change a bunch of positions using a tool script, like, that's done. So be careful with them. Don't just, like I said, use them willy-nilly. Okay, so another thing I want to show you with tool scripts, which is cool, is to creating a node or a scene within the tool script. So for example, let's say that we have a case where we want to place down a bunch of objects in the scene randomly, in a random position. We could do something like that using a tool script. The normal thing you would think of is to maybe create a plugin for something like this, right? I need to create a plugin that's going to place down objects randomly. But actually, a tool script is usually enough. A tool script is like a mini plugin that you can just like write with Godot, which is kind of cool. So for this, we're going to check for input first of all. But before that, actually, let's make sure that we only do this within the editor using this line. And then we'll check input, is action just pressed? We're going to use UI focus next. This is one of the built-in input actions within Godot. And the tab key is going to trigger this input action. So first of all, inside of here, we can check that it is working. So now I don't need to run the game because it's a tool script. So I can just open the output tab, press the tab key, and you can see that tab is pressed is being printed. So it means that the code is working. So next up, we're going to create a sprite 2D node here and save it in a variable called new sprite. We can just get the sprite 2D class and say .new. This is going to create a brand new sprite 2D node. After that, we're going to set the texture of this. I'm going to set it to the icon.svj file here within the file system. And that is the path. So we can just say preload icon like that. Next up, I want to give this sprite a random position within the scene. To do that, I'm going to first call randomize to give the random number generator a new seed so that each time we place down something, we get something new. And we can actually do this inside of ready. We don't need to do it here. Just like that. And then we can say new sprite.global position.x. So we're going to set the x position to random I modulo, let's say 1000. Random I is going to give us, this whole statement here is going to give us a random number between 0 and 999. And since we used I here, it's going to be an integer. So we're not going to get decimal values. That's how you can use random I, if you didn't know. You can call random I, and then you can use modulo, and then you can give it a number. And what this in turn is going to be is a number between 0 and whatever that you placed here, minus 1. So if I placed here, let's say 50, this would give me a number between 0 and 49. But yeah, let's get back to the topic. We'll do this one more time, this time for Y. So now we have a completely random position for the sprite. But this isn't enough to add the sprite to the scene. First of all, we need to call add child and give a new sprite. This is going to add the new sprite to the, the main scene we have here. But this is also not enough. If you just leave it like this, you're not going to be able to click on the sprite, and the sprite isn't also going to be saved. So what you need to do is you need to get the sprite's owner. So just type in new sprite.owner and set this equal to getTree edited scene root. So if you want the node that you created to be saved and persisted and that you can click on it, you need to set the owner to the scene root, just like that, and the edited scene root, because we're currently, editing the scene. So let's save all of that. As you can see, the turtle is gone. Off you go, little guy. And whoops, what is this doing? Let's click on tab. Okay, it seems like, when we click tab, we get the random sprite, and as you can see, I can click on it and I can move it. This one right here was already there, which means when I was editing the script before I added this line, I clicked on the tab key. So that's why we got this one, but it's good because you can see that. Let me just delete the rest. This is what happens if you don't set the owner. You get the sprite, you can see it in the scene, but you can't click on it. And if you close down the scene and open it back up, it's gone. So that's why we need to set the owner. And if you do it right, you can press the tab key again and again, and you'll get a sprite in a random position each time. And these ones, you can see that you can actually move. You can pick them, you can save the scene, close it, open it back up, and they're still gonna be there. Okay, so that is essentially, let's bring the turtle back. I like him. So that is tool scripts and how to use them. So one final thing before I let you go, I'm going to show you a real life example case of using a tool script. So here I have the Pong game that we did in one of my other tutorials. If you haven't seen it, make sure to take a look at it. But in this game, we have a dashed line that we draw in the middle of the, the game. So I'm going to turn off the sound, play the game. You can see that we have this dashed line, but you can only see this when we play the game. Inside of the editor, you can't see it. And that's because if we go into the game script, there's a function here called _draw, which is a function of Godot, just like process and ready. And inside of here, we can draw stuff. I'm using the draw dashed line function to draw that dashed line in the middle of the game, the scene. But like I said, the problem is we can't see it when we're editing the scene. Using a tool script, we can actually make the line visible, make the line draw while we're in the editor as well. So what I need to do is I need to turn this into a tool script, and then I need to essentially just do the same thing, which is gonna work. But this is a relatively large script, and I don't want to just turn this into a tool script because then I have to change everything to only occur within the game, and only the drawing part will just keep it as it is. Because of that, I'm going to create another node here, a node 2D. We'll call this dashed line drawer. We'll put this in the environment in front of the background, and we're going to create a script for this. So we'll right click, attach script. We'll just put this in the scripts folder, just like that, and create it. We're going to go back into the game script here, get that draw function, just cut it out of here, put it here. And now that we have it here, we don't have access to the game area size variable, which is fine. We can just get that from the project settings. So game area size was essentially, if you take a look at it here, the size of the window, which is also inside of the project settings. If you go into display window, it's also here. And we can get this using the project settings class. So again, if you're not familiar with this project, don't worry. Like I said, just keep in mind that this is just a real life use case that I'm going to show you. Don't stress if you're not understanding everything here. So we'll say project settings. We're going to set get setting, and we're going to get, I think, display window view size, viewport width, and then we'll do it one more time with viewport height. So we'll just save the first one into window width. And the second one we'll save it into window height. And now we can use these here and here, and then this one here. And then it's going to be the same, the rest of it. So let's turn this into a tool script. Save it, and like I said, the first time it's not gonna work, so we need to quit. Let's actually quit out of all of the tabs. And then we'll open the game scene back up. And you can see that now the dash line is being drawn while we're in the editor as well, which is pretty cool in my opinion. That means you can use a tool script to visualize the stuff that's being drawn within the scripts. And when we play the game, it's still going to be there because, as you know, the default behavior in a tool script is that it's going to be executed within the editor and also in the game, unless we use the isEditor hint function from the engine class. So yeah, that's a real life use case of a tool script that you can learn from. If you like this tutorial, chances are you will like this one as well. Also take a look at the link in the description. Looking forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Take care.